Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are here ready to start the final 3 games of this tournament weekend, the North American qualifiers.
Welcome back, everyone. We are very excited to bring you Game 9 of the Day 2 of the Salish Sea Slam Men's Roller Derby Association Playoffs game. I am Mamie Theisenhauer.
And my name is Sonia Blade.
And we are here together giving you 2 ladies talking about a bunch of men's roller derby. And today we are playing the Montreal Montroyals or Montreal, depending on what part of Canada you're from, or Dakota men's and against Dakota men's roller derby. Montreal in blue, Dakota in white. And some pregame hugging between these teams. I have a feeling this will be a friendly rivalry.
The winner of this game will earn 6th place in the tournament. Montreal came in at the 3rd seed. Dakota was seeded number 7. So it'll be an interesting game for sure.
So now we have number 804 in blue and red. I think that's 7804. His arm is not wide enough to carry his full number in my view. That is Viking size.
You can tell by the braids just swaying back and forth.
And that's an excellent point. He's not just Viking size, he's Viking hairdo up against Austin Plower from Dakota.
Austin Plower finds some room on that outside. He is the lead jam.
And the Rev from Montreal makes an instant penalty to start the game. So here we are. 1 player from Montreal in the box already.
I believe the Rev was kicked out of the last game for 7 penalties, so he's not off to a great start this game.
That does not bode well. Lining up now, we have number 7, Evinrude, jamming for Dakota.
Montreal sending out number 101, Juppercut.
Evinrude up at the front of the pack, getting a little help from his blocker friend.
Juppercut found some room on that inside, but he was met by Hard Thor. Hard Thor knocks him to the inside, bridges him back to the turn 1.
Evinrude getting a forearm penalty, sending him to the penalty box. That left the lead open, and lead was picked up indeed by Montreal. And so that is a lead jam and power jam for Juppercut.
Or for those of you in Montreal, a super jam.
White Shark, number 300, going in for Montreal. So that is a consistently short wall for Montreal right now.
Devastator joining White Shark in the penalty box. 1 blocker apiece from each team. Oh, Juppercut has earned a cut track penalty.
So Evinrude replaces the star on his helmet, is not the lead. He is on his first scoring pass, but this is a power jam and there is no lead jammer. We will go 2 minutes.
Evinrude with a beautiful spin move on that outside picks up 5 points for Dakota.
And you can see how Montreal, their strategy is to do a 3-person wall with a 4th kind of outside of the wall to go back and forth. Unfortunately, Evinrude saw that and said, you know what? That one little hand is a tiny seam. That's where I'm going to bust through. And Montreal didn't spin around fast enough. That was the right move for Evinrude.
Sometimes it's smarter to challenge the seams, go up the middle, rather than get knocked out and bridge back.
Heck yeah.
Juppercut attempted an apex jump, was knocked out at the last second, but the jam was called. Montreal picking up 6 points that jam. Dakota with 13.
13-6 jam in favor of the Norsemen, taking their total 17-6 for Montreal here in the early going.
Dakota sending out number 1400 Austin Plower up against number 42 Luke Nest Monster.
Austin Plower back on the jam line for Dakota.
Lukness taking the inside, Plower taking the outside, then they switch places.
Plower opting to be a fifth blocker on the track. It didn't work to his advantage. Lukeness Monster got through. He is your lead jammer.
Luke sees the opposition speeding. Everyone's speeding. Let's speed up this pack as fast as we can. Lukeness Monster taking advantage of the fact that it's hard to form a wall when you're at speed like that, and is able to pick up 2 points.
Viking Size back on the track with his long red braids.
Up against Heidi, number 87 in white for Dakota.
Dakota using a similar strategy with the 3-wall, sending up number 9, Thudwig, as offense, trying to get Heidi through.
And very nearly successful. Thudwig opening up the inside line. Heidi only up against 1 pivot. Unfortunately does get recycled back as Viking Size takes that lead. Heidi still struggling at the back while Viking Size glides through and engages a kind of broken up Norseman wall.
That Norseman wall broken up by none other than the Rev. Meanwhile, Heidi still working on his initial pass. He passes a star off to number 23, the Wretched. The Wretched is your new Dakota jammer.
The Wretched picking up a lot of speed. Viking Size sees that with the eyes in the back of his head and calls off that jam. Did you not know? Jammers they have eyes in the backs of their heads. That's how they're able to see everything.
They must.
It's kind of crazy biology, but it works.
I think they have eyes everywhere. They have eyes on their skates. They have eyes in the back of their head. They know when they've cut. They know when they're out.
That's super weird. It's a lot of eyes. We now have Evan Rude, number 7 in white, skating for Dakota, up against Juppercut, who is cutting to the front.
Juppercut was almost in the clear. The Wretched was quick to meet him at the front and hold him back, but he didn't let that slow him down. He is your lead jammer.
And Evan Rude is really angry at himself, saying that he got a back block. And might even be sitting for 2 penalties, Evan Rude, for insubordination.
Beautiful offensive play by White Shark. He neutralized the Wretched, allowing Juppercut to get through for 5 points for Montreal.
And let's take a look, because this power jam may last longer than usual. And Juppercut quickly making mincemeat out of his opposition. 5 more points. Calls off that jam with Evan Rude still in the box, giving a power jam start to Montreal.
Looks like Montreal is going to send out number 42, Lukeness Monster, to try and capitalize on this power start. Oh,
although, nope, Lukeness is getting swapped out. He took the line, then he said, wait, never mind. I'm not next in the rotation. I'm going to give that to you, Red, number 5.
See what Red 5 can accomplish with a few seconds remaining and Evan Rude's penalty. Red pushing the pack to its no pack point. He is your lead jammer. Meanwhile, Evan Rude standing in the penalty box. And he is back on the track.
And you know what, Sonia? You mentioned that the Rev got a bunch of penalties in the last game. He is back in the box with us now. So I have a feeling that he is going to continue in his previous style for this game.
We still have 22 minutes left in this period, and that's the second penalty that I've counted.
And Evan Rude has returned as a jammer to the penalty box. So this is another power jam in this jam. So that is giving so many points and so much opportunity to Red and to Montreal as a team.
I've seen Red Jam in a couple games this weekend. He's usually a pivot, but has donned the star a few times and had some great success. So he is not who you want on a power jam if you're the opposing team.
Well, he was able to pick up 13 on that jam, so not bad at all. That takes Montreal up to 40 to Dakota's 17. That's it's not an insurmountable difference, especially at this stage, but it doesn't bode well.
No, it doesn't set a good tone for Dakota, but hopefully they can come back.
And this is an official review being taken, and that is by the Dakota Men's Roller Derby. They have decided that something that happened in the last jam, they want to be different. So they're going to take a moment. We'll figure out what that is. Our officials have been really good about communicating to us what the different official reviews have been about. So we'll let you know as soon as we do.
If I had to take a guess, I would say they're trying to get Evan Rude out of the box.
I would. If that were my team, I would. They might even be asking for an assessment of his insubordination penalty from previously, because he did have to sit for a full 60 seconds in the last time he was in the box, and that will kill you. So
that's a long break. It takes away a lot of your momentum.
And also it gives him an extra penalty and gets him one step closer to being fouled out. And with 3 penalties in the first 10 minutes of the game, when you've only got 7...
I feel there might be some ejections this game. I don't know. We'll see. Stay tuned.
And so they're still having a chit-chat.
They know what's at stake. It's not just the 2 spots that are being applied for here this afternoon, but again, that ability to gain more experience to really start to expose the men's roller derby system.
All right, and it looks like Dakota was trying to get, indeed, the penalty that Evan Rude went out on, the forearm penalty, overturned, and they said that it wasn't contact that made a difference because the blocker was going out anyway, and they said that the momentum of that contact with the forearm did indeed assist in sending that blocker out. And that means that call stands. So not just the forearm, but the associated insubordination for not removing oneself immediately to the penalty box stands. And Evan Rude stays with 3 penalties to his name in the first 10 minutes.
That means Dakota loses their official review, but Evan Rude is out of the box, challenging that Montreal wall. We still don't have a lead jammer. Oh, sorry, we do have a lead jammer. It is
indeed.
Luke Monster.
And Luke Monster has returned to the back of the pack. And Austin Plower giving some really good blocking there. But you can see that the Dakota wall is now doing a 2-and-2 strategy rather than all 4s. Trying to rejoin themselves together. They were able to hold Luke back. So that worked for a 0-0 no-harm jam.
That was a very tall Dakota wall that Luke Monster was up against. I wouldn't want to take that on.
No, it is interesting to see the height and size differential when you get into these teams, because Luke is a sort of fleet and agile jammer, and he's going up against this monster wall of strength. And there's ways to do that, and he's been successful so far, but it can be exhausting.
Oh, definitely. Those blockers don't have to do much to keep their jammers behind them. And with that, Viking Size is your lead jammer.
And Devastator is recycled back by number 84, Paternostro. Devastator passing that star. So now Devastator is no longer the jammer of record. It is now the Wretched. And does he make it out? Indeed he does. The Wretched is now out the pack, and Viking Size sees that.
Viking Size, a little hop to the side there, narrowly avoiding the last Dakota blocker. Devastator was quick to meet him at the front, but a turn of the hips, and Viking Size picks up 9 points in that jam.
In this period.
So now we've got Juppercut back on the track for Montreal, up against number 1400 Austin Plower for Dakota Men's Roller Derby. And we saw in the game last night, Austin Plower was the top scorer. And just as I say that, he picks up the lead, showing indeed.
I can see why he was the top scorer.
Yes, he is a jammer of strength.
Juppercut passing the star off to number 345, Peta.
Austin Plower doing a very quick cut to the inside, is able to get around and picks up 4 points for his efforts.
Both teams jostling for position along that jammer line. We've got number 318, Devastator, jamming up against number 42, Luke Ness Monster.
So both teams maintaining a pretty stable jammer rotation. They're sending out about the same people in about the same order.
Luke Ness Monster getting hit to the outside. He's quick to get back into position. Finds room on the outside. He is your lead jammer.
He's chased down by Liberal. Liberal isn't able to quite catch him before he goes out of play. And Hard Thor gives a hard hit down. That was a rough hit. Luke Ness Monster picking himself back up again, shaking it off.
Montreal sending out Viking size, squaring off against Austin Plower. Viking size looking for room on that outside. He's got 2 blockers left to beat.
Gets knocked down to the ground. Liberal giving some good fight there. And Colonel Angus doesn't even hit him, but he's such a beefy gentleman that he's able to knock Viking size down with just not moving much.
Viking size fresh out of the pack as Austin Plower comes in for his scoring pass. He gets instructions to the bench to call it off. He picks up, yet to be determined how many points. We'll wait for the ref's decision. 3 points for Dakota.
Going to bring Dakota up to 24, compared to Montreal's 52.
And we are approaching the halfway point of
I
this.
can't help but notice, but between Dakota and Montreal, there are quite a lot of beards on the track today.
I'm enjoying that style. I'm like, yes, show that you are the Norseman that you claim to be.
Juppercut jamming for Montreal.
And Juppercut coming to the front, quickly taking the lead, while Dakota's still trying to get their wall put together. And here he comes again. Jumps over, not even quite the apex, the line before the apex.
Devastator getting knocked to the inside, bridge back behind the jammer line. He has yet to make his way around the track for his initial pass.
And he has his star in hand, and here comes the Wretched to see if he wants a star pass. Because why not? He was recycling back Juppercut anyway.
Hey, you know, while I'm here, you want to pass off that star? No,
I think
you
it's just
good?
no. What the heck?
I'm here if you need me, bro.
Yeah.
Trying to create some space for his jam.
So Devastator is still trying to make that happen.
Of course, the infield will have to recover.
And one more ask, one more rejection. I don't know, the Wretched must be feeling kind of bad. It's like, hey, can I have the, no? Okay, can I have the start? No, you're good?
Do you need me? No?
Can I do this?
Are you
No.
sure?
Because I could take the star. I have the other helmet. And in fact, maybe he should have passed off the star. Devastator goes into the penalty box for a cutting the track penalty. So he has not made it through. So far, he is in no pass status. And he remains in no pass status. That is the jam.
Devastator worked really hard to get out on his initial pass, and then gets a cut track at the last second. That's got to be frustrating, but luckily he'll have 30 seconds to reset, collect his thoughts, and get out there with fresh legs.
You might say he's devastated.
He just might be. We could ask him. We were right behind the penalty box, but I don't think they like us talking to them.
And I sincerely doubt he would appreciate that question. So up on the line is number 42, Lucas Monster. Coming to the inside. A forearm penalty being called against white number 421, Liberal, as he tried to take Lucas Monster in.
Oh, Lucas Monster called for a
unsportsmanlike language.
Oh, goodness.
You can't swear at the refs, which is what I'm assuming happened. Because
you can't swear at all. Any audible swear, anyway. I think you can mouth them, but
and as long as it's not directed. If swearing is accepted, it is not directed at anyone, and it's not particularly audible. So Lucas lost the opportunity for, lost the lead there. So Devastator comes out. He is at the front of the pack. He's only got a 2-wall to get through, but what a 2-wall.
Montreal has been great at killing those penalties, getting together with just the two of them, able to hold jammers back for several.
And that 2-wall breaks up with a multiplayer block. Devastator takes the lead jam, and out comes Lucas Monster coming around the back. Devastator comes to the inside, calls off the jam. He is able to get 4 points. Was he able to shut it out? Yes, he was.
Very well done. Penalty box slowly filling up with Montreal blockers. The Rev incurring a penalty in the last jam, so he will await a seat to be available.
Having had the opportunity to watch these teams.
So we have Buddy Ollie and Red in the box. That means that a blocker and a pivot start off in the box for Montreal. They cannot pass the star. It looked like Viking Size pushed Evan Rude through the pack. I don't think he meant to do that. And Evan Rude is in the lead.
And with the Rev reporting to his penalty, that leaves number 345, Peta, all by himself. Here comes Red to join him. Hopefully keep Evan Rude back, but Evan Rude tiptoeing on that outside with a little spin move. He picks up 4 points for Dakota.
And so now the officials are having a chat amongst themselves as Heidi lines up for Dakota. And he is going against Juppercut in Montreal. With 5 seconds to go, everyone's getting into place. And not quite. We are now having an official timeout, because the officials want to make sure that everything is in order. I think there was a little bit of confusion, what with the Rev needing to sit out and come back in, what the proper procedure was supposed to be. They have decided that was fine. Everyone did what they needed to do. It's fine.
Just a quick little break. It's good to check while the jam's still fresh in their mind.
Oh, absolutely. If you don't figure it out right now, it goes on your permanent record.
Dakota putting out another sizable wall for Juppercut to fight against.
And Heidi just kind of shoving against Juppercut, saying, I'm going to fight you. Juppercut don't care. He takes the lead.
I don't think there's a player for Dakota on the track right now that is under 6 feet tall.
You know, I hadn't thought of it that way, but I think
they
you're
all look
right.
the same height.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct.
Heidi getting knocked to the outside. He is bridged back by Peta.
And Peta letting Hard Thor in, getting a little block at him for all of his trouble. And the Norsemen are really taking this. They've let a few jammers through pretty easily. They're figuring out how Montreal plays, and they're doing a good job of holding Juppercut back.
They're definitely using their size to their advantage. They should have no problem covering the track with just the 3 of them. The 4 is just a bonus.
And with that, Red comes in with Montreal to give some opposition and then go back into defense. He's giving sternum check after sternum check to Heidi. That's legal, but that's gotta hurt.
It's not fun, and the fact that it's legal just makes it a tiny bit worse. You get hit hard, and you're like, really, guys? Come on, give me something here.
And the answer is yes, really. Really, really.
Sorry.
Austin Flower is sitting in the penalty box for the Dakota for the Norsemen.
Uppercut passing the star off to number 345, Peta. Peta is your new Montreal jammer. He comes against a solid 2-wall of Norseman blockers, knocked to the outside, bridge back to the jam line. Heidi, removing the star, stealthily passes it to Hardthor. Unfortunately, the jam is called. 4 points awarded to Montreal. Sorry, 5 points.
That is the first time we've seen Peta take the star. He has mostly just stayed with his stripy helmet cover, staying pivot.
I've seen him get past the star a couple times this weekend. He's had pretty good success.
Nice.
So.
Well, that's who you want on your pivot. You want someone who likes to block and who can jam if they need to.
Team timeout being taken by
And a timeout being called by Dakota. That gives us a chance to mention Nerd Roller Skates. Everything you need for roller derby and beyond. Free shipping across Canada and orders over $150. Or visit their full-service shop in Calgary, Alberta. Nerd Skates for people who roll.
And I also want to mention that if you want to keep such things as live derby going, I mean, we all know that derby costs money. So if you would like to make a donation, we would be so grateful. That donation would help cost the cover of the live feed. Please PayPal to finance@mainlandmisfits.com. Finance @mainlandmisfits.com. Anything helps. Any contribution helps. So details are also posted on our Facebook event page. So go visit them. Go, send us a couple bucks via PayPal. We'd super appreciate it.
Instead of buying your coffee today, throw a little money towards a live feed. Keep men's playoffs going.
Because you know what? We love being able to give you a live feed. This just gets our sport out to so many more people. So thank you for any contribution you can make.
And we know people appreciate the live feed other than going on Facebook and saying, what's the score? I need score updates. You can find out for yourself with the live feed.
And now we are back after that timeout. Viking size rolling to the front. And recycling himself in the middle of the track. I'm not really sure what his strategy was there. But it doesn't matter. Devastator is the lead jammer as Viking size speeds behind him. He's on his scoring pass, but not able to score.
It's a little poetic that Viking size is up against a wall of Norsemen. It's like the battle of the Vikings.
Speaking of Vikings, I appreciate Calcutta and his fuzzy calves. And actually, doubly today, for a reason I am uncertain of, he is wearing American flag pants, American flag tights on Calcutta. So he has a blend of many things. He's a multifaceted skater.
He's representing many cultures. And with that, Evan Rude out of the pack. He is your lead jammer. Red getting knocked to the outside, recycles himself, coming up against that Norseman wall.
Now he is knocked down solidly to the inside, and it looks like that gave a little bit extra hit to number 53, Freitas Austere.
Evan taking a tough hit to the outside, but an apex jump at the last minute by Red does not result in any points.
But did result in really a lot of air. That was like 2 or 3 feet in the air there as he lifted his feet up.
If they gave points for style, I would give him at least 1 point.
So there you go.
Not that Montreal needs it at this point, as they said, at 76 points to Dakota's 38.
Well, you know what? Style points are on a different scoreboard. So, maybe someone wins. It's like winning congeniality in a non-derby environment.
It's a moral victory. Uppercut getting knocked to the outside.
And an extra pivot helmet cover was among Montreal, and that got just flung to the outside as they started the jam.
It's better too many pivots than no pivots at all. Of course, Viking size donning that pivot star is a rare sight to see this weekend.
But that means that Montreal is thinking of sincerely their star pass strategy, because if you don't pass the star that often, it kind of doesn't matter who wears the pivot helmet cover in the way the game is played now. But if you want to pass the star, you want it to go to someone who will make a difference. And obviously Viking size is going to make a difference if he takes the star.
Absolutely. And I remember them practicing this strategy in Ottawa at O-Town Throwdown this time last year. So obviously it's something they've stuck with because they've had success with it.
That's fantastic. Well, you know what? Every strategy you've got in your pocket, it's, you know, that can only strengthen you.
Austin Plower plowing his way through that Montreal wall. Buddy Ollie quick to shove him to the outside, bridge him back to that jammer line.
And Red one more time taking the lead. Former pivot, current jammer, really, and look at that smile on that face. He knows he's doing good.
How about another apex jump there, Red?
Well, he's
gonna call it.
He was asking his bench coach. He was making hand signals at his coach as he kind of did a slow glide around, and bench coach said, "You've done enough. The other jammer has too much opportunity."
We still have another half, still 4.5 minutes left in this first half. Still plenty of time to get another apex jump and get points.
So here's Evan Rude on the jam line with 5 seconds. I was going to say someone had to call something because Montreal hadn't fielded a jammer, and I suspect they would want to.
I didn't see any blockers for Montreal either. I think that would have resulted in a delay of game penalty under this brand new rule set.
In fact, it would, because you have to have players on the track. In fact, it would if you didn't have a jammer, it would result in delay of game because they want 2 jammers on the track, because otherwise, what's the point? So, I believe that's the new rule set. Someone get at me if I got that wrong.
We learned that the hard way during a scrimmage, because at first you could have the star in your hand, not actually wear it, and then we learned that you had to, or no, it wasn't that. It was that you could have somebody behind the jam line not wearing a star, just in the jammer position, and that was enough. But now you have to have a star on the track. And we learned that the day after the rule changed. Like they expected us to know.
Well, you know, the rule had changed. Now this is the new world we live in.
That's one way to learn, I guess.
Yeah.
Trial by error.
Well, and actually, then you'll remember it for forevermore, because you have that feeling of, what did you mean? Oh, and then you just move forward with your life.
Then the refs informs us, yeah, it just changed yesterday. Well, sorry, I don't read the rules set as soon as they come out.
Yeah,
I get tested on it once a year.
Right.
That was not that time of year.
Evan Rude bursting through the seam, but being held back kind of by his own pack. That was an unfortunate situation. As Viking size takes the lead, Evan Rude was fighting Red, who was within the realm of the Norseman pack, so Evan Rude couldn't get around his own players.
Viking size tried to challenge those Norseman links. He got clotheslined. Fortunately, a hit by Thor actually pushed him further ahead on the track. He is through for 5 points. Evan Rude still yet to make his initial pass.
And falling down like 10 pins, we do have Evan Rude going into the box again. That's for a low block.
Viking size testing his luck, challenging those links again. Knocked to the outside by Hard Thor. He's quick to re-enter. 1 blocker left to beat.
With 3 minutes left in this half, star jammer for Dakota, Evan Rude, is more than half the way to fouling out. He has 4 penalties. That's a rough situation to be in.
That's one of Dakota's primary jammers. They do not want to lose him, especially in this game. It's still anybody's game. It's not an insurmountable lead.
But I think if they lose that jammer, they're going to be in a really bad spot.
Luke Ness Monster trying to push that pack to the no pack point.
And a cutting the track penalty, taking White, number 421, Liberal, into the penalty box.
Luke Ness Monster hopping over Wretched Skate. He is through. He is your lead jammer. Evan Rude, fresh back on the track. He's going to take the long way around, hopefully build up some speed.
good bridging by the Rev as that 3-wall sends Evinrude down to the ground to the inside. That's a high block against Devastator.
Luke Ness Monster battling against the Wretched at the top of the apex. He is just slightly knocked to the inside, it would appear. Yes, he did.
And that is a blocking with the head against Evinrude. Evinrude sitting for, I believe this is his 5th penalty.
He's gonna have to take the halftime to refocus. I think I would see him going out as a blocker, perhaps a pivot. We don't know. We don't know Dakota's strategy, but we'll find out.
We will. I have only seen Dakota with 3 regular jammers at this tournament. So it's always a loss when you lose a good jammer, but in this case they just don't have a deep jam bench. So now they have Evinrude in the box up against Juppercut. Juppercut has the power, and coming in.
Some nice offensive work by Montreal.
Oh yeah, that was just opening up that inside line, but he lost the lead. It was a no pass, no penalty. Someone was out of bounds when he passed them.
I believe the Wretched skate was just out of bounds, and then he hopped over it, but did not pick up the lead jam status.
So lead is still open for Evinrude to take if he wants it, as a cutting the track penalty takes Juppercut into the box.
A much-needed power jam for Dakota, as they sit at 42 points to Montreal's 98. This will be the last jam in this half. Evinrude pushing against that strong Montreal wall. Some fancy footwork on the outside. He managed to stay in. He's still got red to beat, which he does. He is through, but he is not the lead jammer.
He is not happy about that. Evinrude, hands on hips, very frustrated with this game. And I just checked in with our penalty box manager. His notation says that Evinrude has 6 penalties.
6 penalties for Evinrude, and the Rev has to be close to that, 5 or 6. Evinrude getting knocked to the outside, bridge back by the Rev. Still 25 seconds remaining in this jam as we have no lead jammer. Evinrude finding some room on that inside. He picks up 5 points for Dakota.
Frida Steer, forgive me, is in the penalty box sitting his 30 seconds. He's the only one in there right now. And that is the end of a rough jam, and it is the beginning of time, except there is an official review being called by Montreal.
Montreal picking up 14 points in that jam, bringing them over the century mark to 112 against Dakota's 50. We'll see if this official review changes anything. Try and find out the nature of this official review for you.
Well, this is a rough game for Dakota. I did confirm that Evinrude, number 7, has 6 penalties. And then we have another 5-0 from Montreal. Buddy Ollie has 5. So we've only played half the game. And we already have 2 players just on the brink of fouling out. Now, on the part of Montreal, they're very far ahead. It's 112-50 right now. So they have room to lose one of their blockers. Dakota Norsemen really don't have room to lose one of their strong jammers. They have 3 jammers that they've been playing: Austin Plower, Devastator, and 4, forgive me, Heidi and Evinrude, but Heidi has only jammed a couple, and their really strong jammers are Evinrude and Austin.
either Heidi's going to have to move into a primary blocker position, or they might give the star to Regid a bit more since he's had some success on star passes.
Yes, he has. So I've got all my fingers crossed for Dakota, even as the official review is for Montreal, as they try to either overturn something or make something new happen. I want to see Dakota run strong through this game. That is my hope.
They've had a strong showing this weekend, so.
Oh, absolutely. The fact that they're in this position, they're doing well. They're doing good. They will get 6th place. Whoever wins this game will get 6th place in the tournament. So, we'll see how this turns out. So those of you watching at home, we are indeed in intermission, even as we are trying to see what this official review is. What I think we're going to do is we're going to let you go. We're going to be back in about 11 minutes. Come back in 10 just to make sure you don't miss any of the action. And when we come back, we'll let you know what this official review is all about. So for the meanwhile, I'm Mamie Theisenhower.
And I'm Sonia Blade.
And we will be back very soon.
Nerd Roller Skates is your dedicated quad roller skate shop in Calgary, Alberta.
Being a nerd is about being really excited and really passionate about a really specific thing. And the thing that we are really excited and passionate about is roller skates.
Nerd Roller Skates, for people who roll.
Welcome back to the second half of Game 9 of the Salish C-Slam Men's Roller Derby Association playoffs. We have the Montreal Mont-Royals in blue against the Dakota Men's Roller Derby Norsemen in white. And at the end of the last half, what we saw was an official review. The reason for this official review was that there was a request for a cut track penalty on the white jammer. So the Montreal said, hey, Dakota's jammer cut. And what happened was the blocker that hit him out went out with him, and the additional blocker who assisted tried to get the cut track penalty by hitting him again, but the jammer came in before that second blocker came in. So therefore, it's not cutting the track, it's just the gameplay. So so that's what happened. No call. But then again, losing that official review doesn't matter because it was the end of the half. So I'm Mamie Theisenhower welcoming you back.
And my name is Sonia Blade. This jam is underway.
And we have Austin Plower jamming for Dakota in white up against right up front their Viking size, taking the lead for Montreal. Now, Austin Plower just barely didn't make it in time. He is chasing down Viking size. Viking size is a bit of a speed skater, so he's forcing this pack to go very, very fast.
A bit of a race going on as the pack speeds up.
I love this.
This almost looks like USARS right now.
I was going to say, this is, bank track tends to go fast, USARS tends to go fast. This was great fast action. Everyone showing, yeah, we do this too. This is what we do.
Montreal sending out number 101, Juppercut, against number 318, Devastator.
And Colonel Angus giving a fist pump in the air saying, yes, speed, and I can't breathe too well. Both things are true.
I don't think that's how each team wanted to start this second half, but I believe this is the last game for both of them this weekend, so they'll earn a much-needed break.
And you know what? Sometimes it's just nice to get a different thing going on your skates, so maybe that's just jazzing them up a little bit.
Devastator getting hit to the ground, takes a second to readjust his equipment. He is back on the track.
Juppercut gets the lead jam as Devastator is right on his back. Now Juppercut is trying to keep it a race. He is blocking, but Devastator actually takes that hit and actually gets in front of the lead jammer. So of course the jam is called.
That was close. The pack started picking up speed again. We almost had another race.
So Austin Plower going up against number 42. That is Lukeness Monster.
Austin Plower getting set to jam for Dakota. Lucas Monster.
And everyone getting in place. Both of those walls close together, so we have a jumbled scrum to begin. And that's a forearm block sending. That was against Hard Thor. I'm not sure what that penalty was against Heidi, but that means that Dakota is down a pivot and a blocker. That's going to be an easy wall for Lukeness Monster to get through. And he calls that off. And reasonably. Austin was coming up to the back of the pack. Lukeness was just through the front of the pack. That's the right time to call off the jam.
I think Lukeness Monster wanted to give the opportunity to Viking size to go up against only two of the Norseman blockers.
Yeah, fair play.
Viking size back out for Montreal.
So we have Devastator taking the star for Dakota up against the Viking size.
We've got White Shark at the front for Montreal, providing some offense for Viking size. It worked. He got through. He is your lead jammer. Devastator having a tough time at turn number 1.
Devastator taking advantage of that faster pack, but tripping all over that fallen wall. And that was, I believe, a low block assessed against Red because Devastator tripped over him. Devastator makes it through. He is on his scoring pass. Viking Size checking his bench to say, what do I do? What I do is I call off the jam.
Nice little leisurely skate there. He turns around, assesses the situation. No, I can wait a couple more seconds. Okay, now I'm going to call it.
Well, and what's nice is he apparently really wanted to know what his bench coach thought. Like a lot of times, that's what you need to do. It's not necessarily what I want to do, but what the strategy is of your coaching staff. So he looked back, saw his bench coach, and said, okay, I'm calling off the jam. I think he would agree with that call. But, you know, this is number 1400, Austin Plower, jamming for Dakota Norseman and taking the lead. That is Juppercut.
Juppercut through on one skate, hugging that inside line. Picks up lead jam. He does it again on the outside. 5 points for Montreal.
That was a sweet dip. He really, you know, he's using his size and agility to his advantage, and all he did was just duck down so no one could hit him.
And he did it again through on the outside. 5 more points for Montreal.
All right, so he did this to the Norseman twice. Can he do it a third time? Answer yes. Yes, he can.
I think he had a bit of help from his Montreal blockers, pinching the Norseman to the inside, opening up that outside lane just enough for him to get by with that dip of the shoulder.
And Devastator takes the star for Dakota one more time. You know who we haven't seen on the track at all so far is Evan Rude. Evan Rude had been jamming a lot for Dakota in the first half, but he only has one more penalty before he gets taken out of the game.
You see Evan Rude sitting at the far end of the bench, so maybe waiting for his right opportunity to risk that final penalty.
So we see number 42, Lukeness Monster, up at the front of the pack, being held back by a good hammer and nail, the nail being the Wretched. And with that 2-and-2 wall, Lukeness Monster sees the hole, goes right on through it, and gets recycled by the Wretched, who, unfortunately, gets in a bit of a scuffle with his own jammer.
Lukeness Monster dipping down just enough to get right in the middle of the Norseman tripod. It didn't work out for him, though. He recycles himself to the back at turn number 2 to give it another try.
So the pack is very, very slow as both walls are holding back these jammers. And you can see that Devastator is just deciding to do a shoving match with the wall, saying, I will treat you like a football sled and push you across this track.
And Montreal is providing enough resistance that he's moving just inches at a time.
And that was really nice work by Thudwig. Thudwig doing double duty as offense and defense. As he's using his defense, he's shoving through the opposing wall as offense, and it worked. You know what? Lukeness Monster still isn't through. And lead jam has finally been assigned. We did not have a lead jammer until this time, and it is Devastator of the Norsemen.
Just under 30 seconds left in the jam. We finally have lead jammer. He is coming around to try and score some points. He finds that inside line, knocked out at the last second by Buddy Ollie. Gonna recycle himself back to the jam line.
I had high hopes that he was gonna make that score on the inside, and but nope. And you get smacked out, you get smacked out.
He does have the points, and with that, the jam will be called after going the full 2 minutes. Dakota picking up 3 points in that jam, holding Montreal scoreless.
So that was the hardest won 3 points we have seen in this game. So we have Viking Size returning one more time. Bench coach coming in to give last final encouragement to the team. Going up against Austin Plower of the Norsemen.
Viking Size for Montreal.
Both taking the inside. Austin Plower getting a cutting the track penalty instead of the lead.
Viking Size with just the Wretched left to beat as he comes around turn number 2.
And one more time, we're seeing a fast pack, which means that walls are harder to hold. And Viking Size taking advantage of that with a very jukey move, comes into the lead.
Particularly White Shark. Freed out of Viking Size.
Viking size instructing his blockers to give him some offensive assistance. He ducks past number 74, Calcutta. He is through for 5 points.
Liberal tries to get one final hit, chase you down to just give one more. That seems to be what Liberal does. He is not content with the jammer just coming by. He has to give a final tap.
Austin Plower takes off the star. Fortunately, the Wretched is too far ahead. Wretched will have to skate back a little bit if Austin Plower is going to successfully pass that star.
And you know what? The Wretched is busy. He is the last man standing against Viking size. And did some really good blocking. He effectively made Viking go to the very back of the pack. But meanwhile, Austin got through on his scoring pass, so let's put that star back on. It's not going to get past.
And Viking size takes that opportunity to call off the jam, picking up 4 points for Montreal. 9 points total in that jam, extending their lead to 151 over Dakota's 53.
So with 20 minutes left, it's a 100-point differential. I mean, not quite. I'm rounding, but about a 100-point
Might as well
differential.
be 100 points.
Yeah.
98. I don't know. I don't want to do
Math is hard.
It's
Let's go
the
shopping.
weekend. Yeah.
Dakota taking a team timeout.
Team time out for the Norsemen, and that means it is a Nerd Roller Skates timeout. We've talked about Nerd Roller Skates a lot in this weekend, and there's a couple reasons why. One reason is that Nerd Roller Skates is a great company. One reason is they're one of our wonderful sponsors. We could not put on this event without the love, care, and financial support of our sponsors. And also, I mean, they're here, and they said that they wanted for their sponsorship for us to talk about them every time we had a timeout. And lo and behold, we have a timeout, so we're talking about Nerd Roller Skates.
I have a feeling if you've been listening all weekend, you could probably read out the paragraph we have for nerd sponsorship with us as we're reading it, because we've had to repeat it so many times.
So you know what? I'm not going to repeat that paragraph exactly, but what I am going to say is you can go to nerdskates.com. Nerdskates.com. You know how to spell both those words, so you can go there. And they have free shipping all over Canada for a $150 purchase. So $150 gets you free shipping all over Canada. You know you want good skates. You know you want good equipment. Nerd Skates can help you out. So let them help you.
And if you're shipping from America, let that exchange rate work in your favor. $150 is what, like 10 to you guys? I don't know.
It's something like that. I remember, math is hard. But now we have Juppercut in the lead for Montreal. Devastator is still trying to get through. And oh, look at that great blocking by Pivot Buddy Ollie. He just followed Devastator and kept him in contact, just light contact that entire time, which meant that Devastator couldn't go anywhere.
Just a little bit of effort gets you the result that you need in this sport.
Well, Red and the Rev are in the box for Montreal, so they've got a light pack, but unfortunately Devastator got a cutting the track penalty, so he gave a power jam. So we've got 3 Montreal in the box and 1 jammer for the Norsemen in the box.
At one point they had 3 in the penalty box, Rev standing up. So Dakota will have the advantage defensively, but offensively, Devastator is trapped in the penalty box and being iced. Dakota's starting out the next jam. Montreal.
So coming up, we have a white official review. That is Dakota saying, all right, we want an official review. Let's see. Yes, they do have people coming up to chat about what's going on. So we'll find that out.
And coming up next on this track, you will see the Philadelphia Hooligans squaring off against Austin Anarchy. That is to qualify to go to the MRDA Championship in Wales. And then later at 5 o'clock, you will see Ray City face off against Denver for the second qualifying spot in this North American qualifier, dubbed the Salish Sea Slam.
And as we're looking at the Montreal penalty box, Buddy Ollie, number 50, has 6 penalties. He has 1 more to go. And number 71, the Rev, who we just said was in the penalty box, has 5. So both of those skaters really precariously close to fouling out.
Those have been 2 of the powerful blockers for Montreal, so we might notice a difference if those 2 aren't on the track as much.
So no one else is that close. I mean, we've definitely seen penalties, but they've been scattered amongst the players. But those particular players are awfully close. And of course, as we said before, on the Dakota side, number 7, Evan Rude, maintains his 6 penalties, but he also maintains his place at the back of the bench. He has not entered the track in this half. And I actually... There he is. For a moment, I couldn't see him among us on in the rink at all, and indeed, there he is. He's just making sure he's still warmed up, I guess.
Just in case.
And that was the end of our official review.
So,
and I'm not sure.
it looks like another.
Looks like an official timeout. So the review ended, but now the officials want to make sure that everything's on the up and up.
Seems everybody's confused on the track right now. The refs are kind of looking at each other. What's going on? Okay.
But head ref Polly Dangerous has decided, okay, we're good to go. We're going to make this happen. Now, in this case, the refs did not let us know what that review was for. So I'm afraid I can't tell you. But it looks like Dakota did not retain their official review. So whatever it was, it didn't make a difference.
Devastator sitting in the box for Dakota Men's Derby. Viking size out on the track for a super jam for Montreal. Knocked to the outside. He is getting bridged back by number 23, the Wretched.
Devastator has re-entered the track as jammer for the Norseman, as Liberal enters the box. And Liberal is soon to be joined by number 667, Hard Thor. So now we are down 2 players in that Norseman wall. Now we have seen really good blocking by both Calcutta and the Wretched. So having that 2-person wall is not so bad. But as you saw, Buddy Ollie, the pivot for Montreal, just came in there to give offense, knowing that that's an easier wall to get past with fewer people.
Viking size making his way out of the pack after picking up 5 points for Montreal. Devastator removing the star, looking for his pivot.
And I just want to give a sportsmanship shout out to Hard Thor, who just left the penalty box. That's the pivot for the Norseman. And before he left, he turned to his penalty box timer and said, "Hey, you guys are doing a great job. Thank you so much." How many times do you hear a player thanking the person who is forcing them to not be in the game for 30 seconds?
But I mean, it's not like the penalty box issued the penalty. They're just there to time you and make sure that you get out on time. So.
It's so true. And I know that and you know that, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Hard Thor for being a cool guy.
And we're just learning from the penalty box manager. Red 5 has 5 penalties in this game. Still just over 15 minutes left in this game, so we'll see how that affects Montreal's lineups.
So he has 2 more penalties available to him. But that's, as we've said, that puts you in a precarious position. So the whistle has been blown. You wouldn't have thought so from the way everyone was standing still for a moment. Austin Plower gets out first for the lead. Jumpercut chasing him down. Jumpercut, just a speed skater. And that, both skaters went down. They're not sure if a penalty is being called. No penalty is called.
No, looks like they got tripped up either on the tape or on each other's skates.
And that means it's mutual. And since they both went down, no advantage is actually given.
And with that much speed, they both hit the ground hard.
And you know what? The officials have a better view than we do on what actually happens. So if they say that nothing happened there, I believe them. And that is the 6th penalty for Red, who is blue number 5, to be confusing about that.
It's funny, Red just eagerly greeted his penalty tracker like, hey, I haven't seen you in a few seconds now.
Well, they're old friends now that he has 6 penalties.
Especially, too, in this jam.
They're going to exchange Christmas presents this year. I don't think that's true. So Austin Plower is still in the lead. Juppercut is still not in the lead. Both jammers got 4 points. And Austin says, I have had enough of you. I'm calling off the jam. So that was a 4-4 jam. It was exciting to watch, but did not give a points advantage to either team.
Nice friendly exchange between Austin and Juppercut at the end of the jam. When they both tripped and fell hard, they kind of looked at each other and was like, I'm sorry. Are you okay? Are you okay? Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah, and once again, we're seeing just such tremendous good sportsmanship in not just this game, the tournament as a whole, but these teams obviously have a good friendly rivalry between them.
Oh, definitely. I've seen a lot of handshaking after the jams. I've seen a lot of opposing blockers helping other players up. I'm not sure it's allowed in some rule sets, but they're
I think,
not
you know
letting that
what?
stop them.
They're not getting a disadvantage, so why not? You know, your team might come at you and say, hey, why are you helping the opposing team? But, you know, rule set-wise, I don't think that's a rule that you can't help other people.
I think it depends on how the refs see it. If you're touching a down skater, they might
Good point.
not like
yeah,
that.
if it's during gameplay. Well, that is a star pass to the Wretched for the Norseman. So the Wretched has had good luck with his pivot to jam status. Lukeness Monster is taking 30 seconds in the penalty box for himself, so it is power to the Wretched.
The Wretched fighting against a solid wall from Montreal. They've got a tripod. They have got him locked down. He is just barely moving.
And I understand his team saying, okay, we're going to stay in the back and force a bridge and force them to go out of play, but the Montreal's wall is so strong that even with 2 players, it is such a fight for the Wretched. And he makes it. He makes it with 5, and you can tell he's proud of himself for winning that fight. And that was a flying leap to the outside by Lukeness Monster.
Lukeness Monster was almost out of the pack. He was met quickly by Liberal, sent him flying. It didn't stop him, though. He picks up 5 points for Montreal.
And the Wretched sees Lukeness. Lukeness passes him, gets into the scrum. And there is no lead jam since this was the lead jammer went to the box and there was a star pass. No one can call this off but the jam timer.
Which will happen right now. Montreal earning 9 points in that jam, increasing their lead against Dakota. They sit at 182 points. Dakota trailing at 65. Still just over 12 minutes left in this game.
First points that the Wretched have picked up in this game.
12 minutes and counting here in this second period.
Austin Plower coming up on the line for the Norsemen. Going up against Viking Size, who grabs the jersey of the Rev to help himself through the pack.
We heard some interesting instructions from the Dakota coach. Apparently, one of the Norsemen is a big fan of Viking Size. She says, I know you're a fan of his, but you need to contain him.
And you know what? Good advice. Good advice. So Liberal is in the penalty box for a multiplayer, and Viking Size, I believe this is his very first penalty in the game. He cut the track. So Pivot White Shark is in the box. Jammer Viking Size is in the box, and Austin Plower is not the lead, but he's got 5 points for his Norseman.
This is a much-needed power jam for Dakota if they want to.
And what an opportunity with this extra light pack and with this power jam. Austin Plower is a really strong skater. He can shove his way through. And there he goes against that 3-wall. He's looking back, seeing the pivot return, asking for a little help from his friend number 79, Colonel Angus, and makes
Some
it
assistance
through.
from Colonel Angus makes it look easy. Austin Plower just steps through, picks up 5 more points for Dakota, 15 so far in this jam.
And you know, that's why all the skaters love Colonel Angus.
I know I love Colonel Angus, but I think it's a different Colonel Angus.
Oh, this is the only one I know. So that's Austin Plower coming through for another 4 points.
Sorry, Colonel Sanders is what I'm thinking of. I like Colonel Sanders.
Oh, yeah, that is different. So we now see Austin Plower trying to bust the seam, coming to the outside, taking Liberal as his front man. Viking size sneakily comes around the outside line. And so that gives Montreal 9 points to Dakota's 20. That was a fantastic jam.
Montreal inching closer to that 200 mark.
And Dakota inching closer to the 100 mark.
Chipping away at the lead slowly but surely. 20-point jam for Dakota, though. Well done.
Now, I will point out that in this, as we are taking a team timeout by the Norsemen, the Norsemen were the 7th seed out of 7 in this tournament, and they are up against Montreal. And Montreal was the 3rd seed in this tournament. So there is a pretty wide difference in where they stood in the rankings coming in. So I just want to say that for all of that, Norsemen are holding their own. And they're making it happen, and they're giving us an exciting game. Even though there's a wide point spread, I'm really enjoying watching this game.
Oh, definitely. I'm sure they're happy to be here, learning at this tournament. You always win more from losing anyway.
Absolutely. And they'll come back next year stronger than ever. And you know what else is stronger than ever? Nerd roller skates!
Oh no, it's another nerd roller skates timeout.
But I love them. And you know what? I will actually say sincerely I love them. Chatting with them at their vendor table here at the event, they're super great people. They carry a bunch of different stuff. And so I'm not just saying it because, it's a timeout. Nerd roller skates is awesome, and I really want you guys to go visit them. We have a diminishing number of derby vendors available to us. Nerd roller skates is out there running strong. Help them out. Buy some gear. Nerd roller skates, they awesome. So now we have Red for Montreal jamming against Devastator. Red flip-flopping between Pivot and Jammer for this game. And a sudden, short, sharp offensive White Shark from Montreal coming up to the front of the pack. And that creates enough confusion amongst the Norsemen to get Red out and in the lead.
Some fancy footwork by Red. You can see why he was on the men's team Canada.
Yeah, he is a tremendously strong skater, and he's a risk-taking skater. I mean, that's why he's had the penalties that he's had. He has 6 penalties. But you know what? Sometimes you got to take a risk. Sometimes that'll get you pushed forward, and it's worth it.
Those risks are what it takes to learn the limits and hopefully be a cleaner player. But yeah, those big hits and those big risks sometimes yield big penalties.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. So now on the line, Austin Plower against Juppercut. And that is an official timeout being called. So Nerd Skates, they're awesome. We're in a timeout. They're doing good. Well, never mind. That was the shortest timeout in the history of everything.
But still sponsored by Nerd Roller Skates.
Heck
for
yeah!
people who roll.
We have Austin Plower taking the start, deciding not to get the lead. Passes it directly to the Wretched. So the Wretched's in front, but Juppercut is in the lead. So they've decided to make this a race, a classic speed race. And up comes the Wretched, not quite able to make a point. I kind of loved that. That was really, if I may, that was ballsy.
You could see Jumpercut straining to hear his coach. This venue has really weird echoes to it, so any noise the crowd makes, the ref makes, the announcers make, it's bouncing all over the walls, so it's hard to hear a specific voice.
Absolutely. Well, and that's because I think the ceilings are just so high here. It is an Olympic stadium, and you can tell when it comes to all of that, there's just a lot of room here. So up through the inside comes Austin Plower in the lead, but chased very closely by Red. Red stumbling a little bit, but not losing any speed.
No, what's not losing speed is this pack as they round turn number 1.
And a forearm penalty. You saw both White Shark and Colonel Angus fall down to the ground. Colonel Angus is called on a forearm penalty, and that jam is called 0-0.
A little flick of the hips by Austin Plower. He was hoping to get a point, was not successful. He is held scoreless. Sorry, that was Devastator, not Flower. Not Austin Plower.
Plower's coming up for the next jam. I'm sure you saw his name and number and went, oh, yeah, that. Wait, no. I do that constantly. So it is Austin Plower against Viking Size.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Austin Plower and Devastator have been the only 2 jammers on the Dakota side so far in this half.
So they are honestly doing a great job in an exhausting game. The Wretched gives one last hit against Viking Size, and oh, it worked. Austin Plower is out as not lead. Viking Size is the lead, decides he's going to wear down Austin Plower, force him to go all the way around the track, and call off the jam as if to say, ha ha.
Penalty box currently sitting full of Montreal blockers. Number 8, Marcus, is awaiting to serve his penalty. He will remain on the track for the next jam.
And there is a foul out. Buddy Ollie is standing to the side of the penalty box. I believe he has reached his limit.
They've swapped up Buddy Ollie with Red, who also is sitting at 6 penalties.
Oof. Well, Red does it. He just sits the time. He does not. It does not count against him for sitting for one of his fellow skaters.
But with 5.5 minutes left in this game, not sure an ejection will create too much of a difference.
And off goes Buddy Ollie. He has fouled out.
And we have a team timeout called by Montreal, which gives us one more chance to mention Nerd Roller Skates.
They so good.
Did you know they have free shipping across Canada for orders over $150 at nerdskates.com, not .ca.com.
I don't believe I knew that. I don't think I knew that. Canada is so big. How do they ship everywhere?
It is. And funny thing I found out, it is cheaper to ship something to the States than it is within Canada.
What?
It's insane.
That makes no sense.
I know. I was sending something to California, and then I sent something to Ottawa, and the Ottawa was 3 times as much. I was like, you are crazy.
Okay, so
it's not even leaving the country. There is no duty on this. There's no tax.
Well, and that means that's an even better deal than I realized, because you could ship over to, I don't know, Nova Scotia, and it's free shipping as long as you spent $150. So why not?
I wonder how far north the shipping goes. I mean, they say across Canada, so does that include...
To the tundra.
Exactly. North Pole even?
Oh, yeah, as long as it's Canada territory. And you have an address there and a post office, I guess.
I guess, yeah, a post office is important. You need to get there somehow.
Yeah, you can't just let the polar bears sign for it. Devastator gets recycled back, and Viking Size takes the lead. And Colonel Angus sits his time in the penalty box, joined there by Marcus. So 1 blocker down on each team.
Viking Size challenged that Dakota wall, was not successful. Turned around, assessed the situation. He calls that jam after picking up 2 points for Montreal. Montreal currently sitting at 200 to Dakota's 85.
Montreal exactly at 201.
Impressive work shown by both of these teams. Montreal again.
With 4.5 minutes remaining, Dakota currently has no timeouts left, no official reviews. Montreal sitting with 1 timeout and 1 official review, although I'm not sure they really need it at this point.
You know what? Anyone can take the time if they feel like, all right, well, we just need a little break. But they are so far ahead. And Austin Plower is in the lead. But look at this. Lucas Monster is just chasing him down. So it's one more fast pack. They have had so many fast skating times in this jam.
Oh, Colonel Angus tripping over a ref on the outside.
That is frowned upon, shall we say.
Fortunately, nobody was hurt. Everyone was quick back to spring into action. Oh, Austin Plower, a cut track penalty. That is a power jam to Montreal.
Defense by Pater Nostro. 84 in blue. Luring Austin Flower into that track on the outside line.
You can hear some communication from the sidelines. The ref turns to Austin Plower and said, "Sorry, that was my wife."
That's kind of brilliant. I love that. And more pushing, more recycling. Lucas Monster shaking his head, saying, "Okay, that wasn't what this isn't going the way I want it to." He sees an open 3-wall that is getting pushed even more open by White Shark.
White Shark has been a key to the Montreal's offense, helping the Jammers get through as quickly as possible, but returning back quickly to help against Austin Plower.
Yeah, he's pretty great. White Shark is.
Indeed he is. And I haven't seen him in the penalty box that much either, so
Actually, he's a
clean
tremendous
there.
White Shark. He's not just great.
He's a great White Shark.
And Austin Plower coming to the penalty box, shaking his head, saying, "I don't even know what I was doing there." And one more sitting down for Hard Thor.
And the Red, noticing there's only 3 seconds left, he does not opt to take the trip around the track. He's going to slow down, wait for that jam to be called off.
And why not, really? There's nothing you can do with 3 seconds all the way on the other side of the track.
Exactly. It's just wasted energy at that point. Currently, Austin Plower sitting as a jammer in the Dakota penalty box, and Hard Thor, the pivot. That'll give a power start to number 101, Juppercut.
Juppercut leaping over a blocker who's on the ground, and that blocker's staying on the ground. So we're going to take a moment, let our AMTs assess this situation. And I just want to say I'm very grateful that we have our EMTs to take care of things like this, and hopefully everything's all right.
Our EMTs had a busy day yesterday. They haven't had as busy a day so far. Hopefully it stays that way with only 2 games left of the tournament.
So give us just a moment, and we'll be back to you when the action begins again. he stay out there?
He would come back on the weekends, but he has to work one weekend. In the 3 weeks that he's there. Well, he was talking about like, oh, there's a chance for me to go to Poland for 6 months. So if you leave in August and come back in April, leave April, come back in August. So you're either going to miss chance or you're going to miss your daughter's birth. Because I'm not going to miss it. People at work were laughing at him. You think you have a choice right now? I mean, like, if he's posted there, if he's stationed, that's one thing.
And Liberal is back up. He is ambulatory with a little assistance. And I just one more time, thank you so much to our medical staff. You make our game possible, and you keep us safe. So we are back in. We've got a minute 46 left on the clock, and we have got Austin Plower, the jammer for Dakota Norseman, in the penalty box. So this will be a starting power jam for number 101 Montreal, Juppercut.
This pack opting for a pivot line start. Juppercut getting knocked to the outside by the Wretched. He is bridged back behind the jammer line. Oh, keeps going right to the jammer line.
The Wretched has so much awareness of what's happening there. He has been such a valuable player in every position to the Norsemen, and has so much agility for a guy who's that tall. It's really impressive to watch him skate.
And it just seems so natural to him. Like, his face is so stoic. He's just like, oh, you're going over this way? Nope. You're going that way? Nope. Oh, I gotta do this. I gotta be handed the star. I'm a jammer now. Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to
not change.
No, he really doesn't. He just seems calm the whole time. He's just chill and being like, okay, yeah, we're just making this happen. And, well, he's still chill even though we went to the penalty box.
Seems unfazed by the whole thing.
And Austin Plower back on the track and pushing his way through. Multiplayer block being called against number 5, Red. A little concerned about him. He's been penalized a lot this game. Now, sure, there's only 33 seconds left, so maybe it doesn't matter.
Juppercut fighting against a solid wall of the Norsemen, getting knocked to the outside.
And we can see Juppercut slowly making his way back to the back of the pack as Austin Plower picks up another 4 points. Juppercut being knocked out by number 23, the Wretched. See, he's the one making that happen.
Comes back from the penalty box, doesn't miss a beat. He is back knocking out jammers and bridging them back.
And White Shark excitedly tries to get an extra hit on Austin Plower. And that is a track cut against Juppercut, but that was right at the end of the game.
End of the jam and the end of the game. Montreal, unofficial score 205, Dakota 101 after that 14-point jam.
And that final whistle from our jam timer means indeed thus ends the game. Montreal in a solid win against Dakota. Now what are we in for next as we go through the Salish Sea Slam?
Next up on the track, we've got the Philadelphia Hooligans taking on Austin Anarchy. The winner of that qualifies for the men's championships in Wales. Later on, we have Denver Ground Control taking on Race City Rebels at 5 o'clock. The winner of that game also going to Wales.
So each of our next 2 games are deciders.
Some great derby coming your way as we finish up the Salish Sea Slam here in Richmond, BC.
And so please stay tuned. We will be back. Let me see, under half an hour. So we have a little break, and then we're going into Game 10. Stay tuned. I have been your announcer, Mamie Theisenhauer.
And I am Sonia Blade.
First up will be Philadelphia Hooligans taking on Austin Anarchy, and then later it will be Denver Ground Control taking on Race City Rebels. But right now, it has been Montreal and Dakota Men's Roller Derby Norsemen on an impressive display of derby here.
Indeed, and hard fought on both teams. The score, the real situation, the score honestly didn't represent what happened on the track. It was a hard fought game by both teams. So much derby love out there. But now it's time to find out. We're going to start to play for all the best teams.
This is why we're here, and so we'll talk shortly about that as we get set for the two qualifying rounds right now. Though, one last round of applause for Dakota Men's Roller Derby and their opponents here.
Nerd Roller Skates is your dedicated quad roller skate shop in Calgary, Alberta.
Being a nerd is about being really excited and really passionate about a really specific thing. And the thing that we are really excited and passionate about is roller skates.
Nerd Roller Skates, for people who roll.